Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. PSA is pretty much shut down until July 1st with the exception of their very high, very expensive grading tiers. And we're going to see the exact same thing happen to both CGC and Beckett in the very near term. So we're just going to talk about the series of events that will lead up to both CGC and Beckett also not allowing new submissions. Not only are we going to talk about the series of events that would lead up to that, we're also going to talk about what kind of effects that will have on the graded market in both the near term and the long term. We already know the series of events that led up to PSA pretty much waving the white flag and saying no more until July 1st. And we're going to see the same thing happen with CGC and Beckett, because what really broke PSA's back, or at least from the newsletter, it sounded like they were getting tons of submissions month after month, way more than they were the previous month, constantly breaking records, until finally it led up to that big catalyst where in a matter of a week they got as many submissions as they did in an entire month. So we're going to see the same thing happen to both CGC and Beckett. And with turnaround times of CGC, at the time of recording this video, and I guarantee you these turnaround times change very quickly, right now it's 111 days, so just call it 5.5 months. And Beckett is for standard 6+ month, economy 9+ months, give or take. So it will be very easy to instantly see a double in the turnaround times for both these companies. So when it comes to bulk, for CGC, you're going to go from 5.5 months to a year. And from Beckett, which is right around a year right now, we're going to see it now 2 years for turnaround times. A year and 2 years, respectively, for those two companies is a freaking long time. Waiting 2 years to get back a card is insane. But that's what we're going to see. But they're going to do the very same thing that PSA did at first. They're going to do the last-ditch effort, and they're going to raise their prices very quickly in the near term, hoping that will, stem demand a little bit and keep people from sending in a lot of cards. But it's not going to work. So we'll just see the turnaround times ramp up and then them just close the doors totally and say, we're not accepting any more submissions until we catch up. Because, simple microeconomics, when companies grow at this scale, it is impossible to just do the very basic logistics of hiring new people, training people, and building the infrastructure to, more or less quadruple your business in a month's time. Beckett's going to be hit real hard because all the sports cards that were going to PSA are instantly going to flood into Beckett. So a lot of Beckett's backlog is going to be for sports cards. But because CGC is emerging and their prices are so cheap with, call them decent turnaround times, or at least the best turnaround times currently on the market, that's where you're going to see all the Pokemon cards going to go, and Magic the Gathering. So they're just going to get swamped. They're not ready for the wave of cards that's going to hit them very soon. And when I say very soon, I'm talking like today, when this video gets released. You're going to see, as of today, CGC is going to see a ton of cards just coming in, and it's going to be hour after hour, and they're going to have to close the doors. Maybe not close the doors literally, but they're going to have to no longer accept new submissions. And what is that going to really look like for the market? Because you're going to have everybody opening new product we have a lot of new sets coming out. We have a lot of new cards. We have a lot of product still being open, and a lot of cards that people want to send away for grading. And if you haven't done it yet, you better do it right now. But, what's going to happen when everybody continues to open product, especially a lot of this modern stuff that does have some decent chase cards? What's going to happen when you have no place to send your cards to have them graded? What's that going to do for the raw card market? The first group of people that are going to get hurt the most are the new collectors and investors, because they came in, they opened all this product, they had this one goal in mind to send away all their cards, they had this, delusions of grandeur and all this stuff. They just wanted to make a ton of money, and they saw what graded prices are doing. But they're not going to be able to do that. But then you're going to have people who have been in the hobby who already have a ton of graded product, and they don't mind just sitting and waiting. You're just going to see this trickle right into sealed product, because people aren't going to want to open sealed product anymore, because, there's always been a very easy, very clear route to grading, right? You open a sealed booster box, you pull out the chase cards, you send them away for grading. You're going to offset probably your grading fees. You're probably going to offset the cost of that sealed product, assuming you pull something decent, right? So it was always a very clear path for people. So what's going to happen is people are going to say, well, it's not worth it for me to open a card, sit on a raw card for an unknown amount of time until these grading companies open back up. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to keep my product sealed. So that's going to have a weird effect on the market, and especially when it comes to sealed product, because if people are not opening enough cards to send them away for grading, you could just see, like the amount of sealed product quickly start to rise. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like to take away a lot of the people cracking booster boxes in an opening pack. So the question really needs to be, how quickly is this going to happen and how long is this going to last? Because it could be a huge, call it drought, where there's no option to send your cards away for grading. And you could potentially also see like CGC or Beckett not close their doors at all and just let their turnaround times just, explode, and just say, screw it. We're not going to try to keep up with turnaround times. We're just going to let them, totally get out of control. So where we could potentially go from, say BGS from 9 months to 2 years to 3 years, or CGC from currently 5.5 months to 10 months to 15 to 20. It could potentially start to have that snowball effect where it just constantly gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they can't catch up anymore. And I think that's what we saw with PSA. I think PSA really did their best to try to keep their doors open as long as they could before they waved that white flag. But I think eventually it just got to a point where they were so overwhelmed that they had no other option, no other course than to just close the doors. And it's probably going to happen with CGC and Beckett. And it's going to be interesting because how long are all three of them going to stay closed for? Yeah, we know PSA said July 1st, but is CGC and Beckett just going to say, you know what, let's just close our doors until July 1st also, because then we don't have to pretty much worry about any competition in those 3 months. Yeah, there's other grading card companies, like there's GMA and stuff like that, but even GMA has like 150 business day turnaround times. They're higher than even CGC is right now. So there are just not a lot of options on the market. So if all three of them just more or less became a giant monopoly and said, we're just closing our services until July 1st too, you're just going to see all these people that want to have their cards graded, just the backlog of this piling up, so that when these companies do finally open their doors, the flood of cards is just going to be, massive once again. And, I can't even imagine, say, what a one day card dump on these guys would be. You could be talking about hundreds of thousands of cards in a single day as soon as the doors open up, of just people waiting and waiting. Because you do have a lot of people out there, just PSA alone, that are saying, well, I'm not sending my cards to CGC and I'm not sending them to Beckett. All I'm going to do is wait for PSA to open the doors again, and I'm just going to send all those cards. And there's a ton of PSA fans out there that are waiting for just that. You want to know the real reason I'm doing this video? It's because people hate hypothetical videos, and I love to make videos that make people get mad. So, that's just all this video is. It's a hypothetical, but it's a scary hypothetical because I think it has a very good chance of becoming a reality video. And we'll see how this video ages, but, if we do see this, shut down by a lot of these companies, I keep calling it shut down, but if we see them waving the white flag and not accepting new submissions, it's going to be a very interesting effect on the hobby in general. And like I said, especially modern. So I am curious to see how this plays out. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think a shutdown of PSA, BGS, and CGC would look like if all three of them just stop accepting new submissions? But hey, listen, if you somehow made it to the end of the video and you're still not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Other than that, hit the like button, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.